Yeah, he told you to reach out to him and feel free to plagiarize their BRA rules, right?
Yeah, but whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Brownfield because we talked about it at the conference.
Good evening, I'm Mayor Mark Northrup. This is the Hudsonville City Commission regular session dated February 10th, 2026. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Bullheis,
Here.
Branson,
Here.
DeVray, Camp,
Here.
Nitre,
Here.
Mayor Northrup.
Here, I might note that Commissioner Groot is not here this evening. He's enjoying better weather someplace not here. I think he's on a cruise right now. So would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now is a moment of silence. I've talked to a couple of commissioners previously that I'd like to dedicate our moment of silence to the emergency responders and the accident we had up on the interstate here. What is it, 3 weeks ago now, I think, right?
Martin Luther King Day.
And just very appreciative that there was no serious injuries or fatalities. There was a lot of personal damage to personal vehicles, but at the end of it, the response and the coordination by our emergency responders was quite evident, and I just would like to acknowledge them and just be appreciative that nobody was seriously hurt. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. Another personal note, I did talk to our finance director, Andrew Smith, earlier today. You know, he's in Mexico. He's down there getting some specialized medical treatment for his daughter who's got a really serious Lyme's disease. And she's down there through some not experimental, but some new kind of medical therapy. And it sounds like she's doing really well. So we'll see him back here, I believe, at the end of the week, right?
The 13th, yeah.
That's what he said.
Yep.
So we're just appreciative, and it'll be good to get Andrew back. Now it's the time for public comments. If you're in the public and choose to address the commission, you may do so now if it's not on the agenda. Seeing and hearing nobody, we will move on to the consent agenda items. There are 6. City Commission regular session minutes dated January 13th. The Library Advisory Board dated January 20th. Downtown Development Authority meeting minutes dated January 21st. Terrace Square Advisory Board meeting minutes dated January 21st. Planning Commission meeting minutes dated January 21st. And finally, the accounts payable reviewed and approved between meetings by the Finance Committee and the City Manager. Payment of the bills in the tune of $508,673.47. And the ACH distribution of $1,186.86. I recognize that ACH distribution is rather large. I did speak to the finance director this morning. He noted that $316,000 of that is for Ken Jipping's property, the final payoff, I believe, on that property. Is that right? The third one. $275,000 for our tax distributions to the county. $275,000 for our bond payment, and a standard $112,000 for the payment of the bills. Those are the consent agenda items. Are there any changes to those consent agenda items? Hearing and seeing none, all those approving the consent agenda items say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Consent agenda items carry. Following on to departmental reports, public safety statistical reports, the fire department's Chief Essenberg.
Good evening. January, quite a month. Yeah, we were busy. We had 55 calls for service in the month of January. The biggest one you already touched on tonight was the accident where we assisted Zeeland Township up on the expressway. Wasn't the only call of the month up on the expressway. There were several. Several mornings we had to shut down the interstate once again for semis being pulled out or cars being towed away. It was, we had a couple of week stretch there where the roads were treacherous. So busy month with doing that, so, and a bunch of other calls. Other than that, the month was pretty normal as far as call volume. They were just long calls. We had several that were multiple hours. Personnel-wise, as you probably saw on Facebook, we've posted for fire cadets, still working towards that. We had several applicants over the weekend that it was posted, working through those now. Finding the ones that live or work in the city, working on that with Andrea, and start scheduling interviews. I believe it starts tomorrow already. We have one scheduled, so working towards that, getting our numbers bolstered back up. Any questions?
Anything for the chief? Chief, I was disappointed. I didn't note any commentary concerning the cow that took the shower at the meatpacking plant.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a little more on that event?
Well, it seems that the mayor reads the weekly, and as he's going through, he likes to critique. And so I engaged with him a little bit on some text back and forth. He wanted pictures. You probably saw in this week's weekly I sent pictures. He wants to know why I'm picking on him, and I just told him he was a stakeholder. So
Very good.
all in good fun.
Thank you, and have a pleasant evening.
Yep.
Thanks, Steve. Certain amount of levity is not necessarily unprofessional. Sheriff's Department, Lieutenant Grenzer, that's it, thank you. Before you get up here, I just want to acknowledge, we've all noted there's been a higher visibility of the Sheriff's Department, particularly on 32nd and some of the other streets that have had really heavy traffic and some really high speeders. So I just want to acknowledge, that even before you speak, that we do recognize that. We do greatly appreciate it because we do get a lot of feedback from our residents that we have a traffic problem and we definitely have a speed problem on 32nd and 36. So thank you.
Absolutely, yes. Without a doubt, I actually talked to Sergeant Smoes this evening before coming here, and I think Tyler saw him out running some traffic today out on 32nd. He honked at him, so we know we're a lot of visibility out there. First of all, my name is Derek Grenzer. Obviously, with the Sheriff's Office, I was recently promoted to lieutenant a few months back. I come from our training division. I worked there for 20 years now with the Sheriff's Office. I worked with Jeff and Mike Bagladdy and the long history of people that you guys might know over here. So it's an honor to serve over here, and I'm excited to get things rolling. For the Eastern District, we ran 2,064 calls last month in January, so very busy. A lot of those weather related to crashes. I had the opportunity to work with Chief on the 196 100-car pileup. It was a great example of teamwork that everyone really came together, stood the EOC up, and we had a lot of really good success just due to the networking and good teamwork overall. For Hudsonville City as a whole, calls were down just a little bit. We're at 197 calls total for the month of January, 51 for our traffic enforcement, so down. A lot of that was due to weather related and being out on accidents. And then for crashes, we were up just a little bit at 36 crashes, and then we ran about 15 medicals along with fire as well. So that is the stats. Any questions?
Any comments or questions for the lieutenant? Congratulations on your promotion, by the way.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Can I make one comment, Mr. Lieutenant Grenzer and Sergeant Smoes, I've been meeting with them, met with Lieutenant here a couple weeks ago, and just want to say out loud to the commissioners that really appreciate the level of professionalism that you guys are bringing to the community. New faces. I know there's a lot of changes going on with the Sheriff's Department, and behind the scenes, no one will know administratively, to do it right and how much time it takes. But I just want to say really appreciate the professionalism and the communication from you and Sergeant Smoes. It means a lot to the city. It means a lot to me and our staff. And looking forward to building a solid professional and personal relationship with you guys too. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to add, thank you. I've heard from residents, they've appreciated the uptick in making sure that folks aren't speeding through town. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good evening.
Okay, Mr. Dahl? You're just say Dave because that's.
I just wasn't sure you were calling up or not. All right, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, a couple things I'd like to highlight on the report. Let's just put it on my forehead. Of course, there was the accident 196. My team helped out with more of the shelter side of that. Several people at the high school just helping to facilitate getting stuff where it needed to be. And then I had also a person here in the EOC communicating back to the county EOC to make sure we were in sync with them. We did debrief on that last week at my department meeting. That is the longest department meeting I can remember having. We ran 2.5 hours, so my team had a lot of things to comment on. We talked through a lot of stuff, so we'll have some improvement opportunities internally and relationship with the county EOC coming out of that. Nothing major. As we were saying, we're trying to take a 90% solution and see if we can get it to a 92, 95% solution, right? So there's nothing bad really. But more to come there. We'll put together a succinct report. But John Lawrence, my deputy director, did a good job leading my team in that regard because I was in warmer weather when all that happened too. Happens every year apparently. I go away for January and JJ has to run some sort of thing with my department. So it's kind of becoming a joke among us. Would also like to highlight that the training we got, the quarterly training, we get that from the county EOC. The sheriff's office provides that. That was the conflict de-escalation. We went through that a couple years ago, and I actually asked the county EM department to put that on the calendar at least every other year because it just seemed really good for what we do, being out on the road with motorists and pedestrians and everything. And I wish I could remember the gentleman's name who delivers that training. I don't know who delivers conflict de-escalation training. Yes, yeah, does a fantastic job with it. Yeah, Officer McKellar does great and really makes it practical and tangible for us. So. And down in department staffing, you see a one in the pending column. We have a person, he actually has started, but he started in February, so it'll be in the next month's report. But we do have one new staff member. We still have a position posted because we would like to get up to 2 more. But we're not rushing. We want to make sure we pick the right people. And in this case, we did get a really good one, I think. So more to come there. Any questions?
Anything for Dave? Dave, I had calls from people overseas on the pileup. I had calls from both friends on the East Coast and the West Coast that saw it on national TV. And then, of course, several people locally. And the sensationalism that was projected on the TV was different than how I think you and I probably perceived it. It was an accident. We responded. We remediated it. Nobody was hurt, really. Some minor injuries. The cars were removed, and the freeway was fully open within 5 hours. So, but there's this visual that people see on TV of how extreme it is, and it makes for great news. But I think from our perspective, we just did what we were trained to do, and we did it well without any commentary. So I just want to acknowledge how much we appreciate you and all the team, fire department, the county, sheriff's department. It really was a remarkable response, and I think we kind of take it for granted, but it really reflects on how professional we are as a city and as a community. So thank you. Any other comments there?
Yeah, just a real quick question, Dave. Don't go into tons of detail, but I'm just curious as to what your department did on that morning. I mean, you said something to I read something to the effect that involved in controlling traffic on 32nd and that kind of stuff. So what did your department do?
So mostly what my department did was at the high school, as they had people coming in, my team was there helping people to get to where they needed to be within the high school. Because people just come in and they're not sure what to do now. Some of them...
So that was after the buses from Hudsonville?
Yeah, the buses are bringing people
brought them
in.
back?
Yep. So kind of help people kind of navigate through around the high school, get them to some refreshments, get them to finding a way to kind of sit down, relax, get the jitters out or whatever. Try and give a little bit of comfort to some people. My team said some people were obviously pretty stressed out. They're just walking around, just kind of in a daze, not making eye contact with anybody. So just trying to help people in that regard. So in addition to that, also communicating with the county emergency management on what do we need at the high school. Because some people are saying, oh, let's get more water. And so to Meyer's credit, down here at the Hudsonville store, they had pulled cases of water, had them ready for us. But my team was trying to coordinate that and say, okay, do we really need that yet? And we didn't need it, actually. We didn't have that many people in the high school. So they try to manage the request of resources, right? So we know that we're requesting what we need, not more than what we need. And as more stuff came, because businesses see this in the news, like, oh, hey, we can make pizzas and send them over. So they're sending over pizzas and whatever, like crazy. My team in there was saying, yeah, we don't need any more. Let's get those up at the scene. Maybe the first responders need it. So a lot of resource management.
Okay, thank you.
That was probably a longer answer than you wanted.
It was a good answer. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Mr. Dahl.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to the city treasurer's monthly report. We'll just scan through these general fund summary. Nothing anomalous there. Revenue summary. We are, as we all know, we're doing quite well for our revenue. Revenue to date comparison is above previous years. No surprise there. Expenditure summary is consistent along as we all know how we're spending our money. The big issues are we're spending quite a bit to the final payment on the bond for Ken Jipping. There is the investment report. As you know, the number I always look at on the lower right corner. If I can read that font, city manager, it's 41,000. So we're still holding our own, and I think it was like 3.7% right now. So it's come down a little bit over the last 6 months as the economy's improved, but we still are realizing quite a bit from our investments. Last page, that would be the final obligation for the Plaza installment and the installment on the capital improvement fund, which was the Terrace Square. So we now only have one outstanding debt, and that is for the capital improvement bond, which is now 8 years old.
It is callable. I don't remember the year. It's callable as of this month. That sounds right.
Yeah. Next.
Yep. What? There we go.
And then the final one, Jacob, you want to brief out on this, please?
Yeah, I'll provide a quarterly update. There's not anything new on the grant tracker right now. But since I do have her in the room, I do want to give a shout out to Sarah, again, on the MD&R Trust Fund grant that was announced in December. I assisted on that one, but Sarah was dribbling probably 85% of the way down the court on that one. I might have done a cleanup rebound, and that's about it. Sorry, Pistons game in my head from last night. If anyone hasn't watched the highlights from that, I would recommend go back and check that out. So when I come back in another 3 months, we should have another couple of applications up on the grant tracker. Currently for the fire department, I am looking at a highway safety patrol to look at getting up an attenuating truck for those side of the road accidents, different things like that, to make sure that we have pedestrian safety, vehicle safety. So exploring a grant opportunity through the highway safety patrol. Also starting to explore the T-Mobile My Hometown grant. That's a grant that comes out quarterly, so the next deadline for that is at the end of Q1, March 31st. We probably won't apply for it this time around, but it's up to $50,000 towards any sort of placemaking project, community and economic development projects. That could be public art, that could be fun new benches downtown that add some character and different flavors, different things like that. So if anyone has thoughts, ideas, absolutely welcome to hear those. And then at Tyler's recommendation, towards the end of last year, as we were exploring a couple of grant opportunities, I have been building what we're calling sort of our chip shot project list. So building this out by department to recognize what are the programs and grants that each department is regularly looking at, exploring, and potentially applying to for grants. So some of those are more consistent than others, but building that out so we're always ready to be able to respond when those opportunities come up. I'll add a distinction on this as well, that it's a chip shot project list, but not all of these projects are shovel ready. And that's a key component for some of these grants, especially anything coming out of the MEDC. So projects that we have in the pipeline, but if we can't put a shovel in the ground about it tomorrow, there is some distinctions there. Just wanted to make that point. And then later in this meeting here, we'll have hopefully 2 new members put on the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. And then earlier today, City Manager Dotson, I believe, signed a contract with Fishbeck. So bringing them on, at least for our first year as we launch our own municipal Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, keeping that local control with us was obviously important as we pass these resolutions, but bringing Kirk and his team from Fishbeck on will really help us just solidify ourselves with bylaws, essentially the application process for developers to come in seeking brownfield redevelopment incentives. So really excited to have them on board with us there. And then the last update I'll give with my economic development hat on, this past Friday, Lindsay joined me for a 4th walkthrough with the potential tenant for the Terrace Square restaurant. I will say they brought an architect with them, and as it was their 4th visit, we're getting pretty serious on the dance floor here. So I've been told in the next week or 2 we'll be receiving a pro forma, and right now we're looking at a late May or early June timeline. So exciting work coming on that. Related, also unrelated to that, as the city continues to grow, especially in our downtown district, trying to get a better relationship and a better handle on how heck liquor licenses work. So been in more contact with my colleagues at the MLCC, have another call with them this Thursday to just talk about what the build out will look like for us as it pertains to liquor licenses as we welcome new restaurants, distilleries, different things like that into our downtown district. Switching over to my DDA hat, we've been talking about the Triangle property, and the P&D agreement is going well on that. We've had a monkey wrench, but a good monkey wrench in that. They have the opportunity, the developer does right now, to potentially expand the footprint of what this project's going to look like. So there is an adjacent property next to the Triangle property that is actually for sale in a portfolio right now. From the conversations we've been having with our developer, they have put an offer out to that. They're waiting to hear a counter. So exciting opportunity with that, potentially changing the footprint of what that project and the scope of that will look like. So more to come on that in the coming months as well. Cherry Avenue parking lot, or what we call the DDA parking lot. The DDA had a really robust discussion at our last DDA meeting in January. So I will probably be in front of you wearing DDA and economic development hat over the next couple of months to talk about future opportunities with that lot and what that will look like as we continue to build out the downtown. And then a final note with my downtown development hat on, we've got another round of the Match on Main grant coming up. So March 1st, applications open. They close on April 20th, so you've got about 6-7 weeks there to look at that. But any business that is within the DDA district is eligible to apply, and that's up to $25,000 with a 10% match from the business. We did submit 2 applications last year. We were approved on one, denied on the other. So a note that from everything I was learning about that, as much as a place-based business as it can be, foot traffic, getting people into the downtown, seats and butts at restaurants, breweries, different things like that. Any sort of place-based activity, sorry, I'm thinking about dinner here. Place-based activity is what the MEDC really likes to see in that program. And then cleaning up with the Village Green hat, I submitted a memo earlier today to City Manager Dotson. Over the last couple of months, we have been sitting down with a couple of different consultants, owners' representatives, different folks like that, really comparing and contrasting what their strengths are, their scope of services, their philosophies, and their experiences with similar projects in the scope of the Village Green. So I have made my official recommendation to City Manager Dotson. He'll be reviewing that, and then we will be pulling together Mayor Northrup and Jack when he gets back wearing his DDA hat to sit down and talk next steps as we move forward towards the official launch of the Village Green project. And then just a couple of things in the queue. Don't have a publication date yet, but we did do our interviews for Business View magazine. Tyler and I did approve the draft publication of that and looked at some pictures and everything last week. So more information in the coming weeks, but looking forward to opportunities to use that as a pamphlet, kind of a trifold pamphlet, for us to use that as a booklet with developers, with prospective businesses for the chamber. Really good marketing material for us to use as the city and for me to utilize from the DDA perspective as well. And then on the topic of brownfield, I'm going to be attending what's called a Brownfield Brainstorm. Tyler did join me for the first one. These are hosted by my colleague Travis Alden, who works at SME. It's an environmental consulting firm. As more communities in West Michigan, and especially in Ottawa County, start to look at hosting their own brownfield redevelopment authorities, it's an opportunity for us to get together as practitioners and people who are staffing these boards to learn from each other, best practices, case studies, different things like that. And the city of Hudsonville has got an opportunity to host the third event probably in the summer or fall. So excited to potentially bring probably 20 to 30 different professionals all around West Michigan in, show them the projects that we have for brownfield and where our growth plan is as a city. And I will just button it up here. If you've been in the office today and maybe haven't gone down to check out the chamber area and you like what you see on the wall there, get more excited about that, because there is going to be more public art as I continue to work on the soft launch of our public art program. So looking forward to putting that in front of you probably between now and the next time that I come up for quarterly updates, I would say. But with that, I know that was a lot. Happy to take questions or compliments.
And maybe you don't know this, but I've been voted on the mayor's executive board for Michigan. And one of the things that I'm starting to share is some of the things, how we do things in Hudsonville, which is not reflective of a lot of my peers. One thing they had a lot of interest in is how we manage our grants. Because I find out, and we came to this we stumbled into it, that we need to do a better job managing and tracking grants, because we know there's free money out there. It's just a matter of finding it and tracking it, and sharing it as a point of accomplishment. So just hats off to the tracking spreadsheet and maintaining it and using that as a tool to enrich us financially and get our projects done. I can't understate that, and I think all of us recognize how valuable and important that is, Jacob, that ownership there, and we all own that as a team. There is one grant that I wanted to go out and look at, though Bob is leaving from DPW, but it was a grant with the AARP, a smaller grant, I think up to $10,000 and I wanted to get that for park benches to enhance the walkability, particularly in Hughes Park, for our retired people. We have the nursing home nearby. We need to make sure that we do everything we can to be inclusive for those people. So if that's a grant that I can work with you on, let me know. But that's one I would just like to see, because that's so Bob has the information. I handed it all off to him, so make sure before he departs you talk to Bob and get a handoff on that one. Absolutely. And finally, the whole thing on the murals, plural, I think. When I saw your wife back there painting that, I was just floored with her abilities and technique to paint that wall and really give vibrancy just to City Hall. But hopefully we can take that external. If you haven't been back there to see it, colleagues, it really is. It just pops. So just so acknowledge her and our appreciation for what
Absolutely.
she's done.
I'll let her know that. Thanks.
Anything from the commission here? Jacob, you're doing a great job. We appreciate what you bring to the community. You're engaged, and we love that. I know that was a year. You've been here a little over a year now. It took a year to get your sea legs, but I think we're starting to see the fruits of that year now starting to come due. So greatly appreciate what you're bringing to the community.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Anything else? Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
Moving on to Planning and Zoning Development Report. Oh, Sarah.
Hello.
See, she hopped right up here, Dave.
I need not wait for introduction this time. So you guys have seen this. This is the 2025 Planning Activity Annual Report. I sent it out just after Planning Commission in January. What it is it's written for our redevelopment ready communities, necessary items that we have to do every year because we are a certified community. We have a couple annual report items that I have to submit, and this is one of them, but it's very helpful, not only for you guys to see what Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals go through throughout the year with our different projects, but it's helpful to any new board members, anyone new to city life in general, whether it's employees or even residents sometimes might like to look at this just to get a summarization of what we're up to. We also put enforcement in here, so this is where when I was here for City Commission in January, the 45 tickets, 50 tickets that were written before the end of December came from. I worked with SMOs on that to know what our number was, so we definitely have been seeing an uptick. I have been seeing an uptick and help with enforcement as well. And then an interesting part in here that is better digitally for you guys, but we put a summary of our notes from the MAP conference at the end of this report. And the MAP conference is always super helpful for us with some really interesting and engaging sessions. One that I went to was mural. They have a whole mural fest, Kalamazoo does. So it's very fascinating to get to kind of walk through other communities. It changes every year. We happen to be in Kalamazoo again this year, but we get a lot of insight from different communities on what they're doing right and sometimes what they wish they'd change. So we kind of summarize the highlights that pertain to us the most as a city back there, and any PowerPoints that I have from them, I have linked. So you guys can look at any of those resources and let me know if you have questions. But the last thing is permit activity in here. This is kind of my little bubble where all these permits that we go through with something as simple as signs to chickens. We just have a summary of the amount of permits that we approve every year in there as well. So it's just a general overarching of our department and our boards.
Good.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to note, it's clear this shows just the amount of work that goes in on the Planning Commission and also on the staff side that helps the city do its business. So really grateful to see that. And then in particular, I was encouraged to see just the way we are trying to enforce our zoning codes, especially in neighborhood settings. I think that helps keep the character of our community.
Yeah, I surely would echo that, and surely appreciate the report was excellent. You and Dan did a great job, and it's very useful and helpful and informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not to get into any details, but do we have any insight on the ODC Nature Center project? When do we think we might see some activity there for breaking ground?
I can take that one, Mr. Mayor. Actually, if it's the same to you, this will be included in part of my report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for Sarah? Keep up the great work. Appreciate all you bring to the community.
Thank
you,
you.
Sarah. Next, as administration, there's a recommended motion here. I'll ask for the motion. Get it on the floor, please. New business. Mayor Pro Tem, you wanted it?
Motion to adopt ordinance 340, amending the City of Hudsonville zoning ordinance to allow freestanding wireless telecommunication facilities as a special land use in the Public A zoning district, and increase the maximum permitted height of freestanding telecommunication towers to 210 feet, excluding appurtenances.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and supported. This involves the new tower that will be an additional 11 feet, requiring this this ordinance change. We're not changing the ordinance. We're just allowing for this. This will amend the ordinance. So the ordinance is actually changed. Yep. So I know we've talked about this at length in work session. I think this Planning Commission talked to it for close to an hour. Unless anybody else has something to editorialize here, go ahead.
Just a clarification. We're expanding it to 210 feet. What was it before? Just
199.
Just for clarity. 199?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So it's not a huge ask.
No, but there's a lot of work if you don't follow the ordinances, as you well know. It's just, it has to churn through a lot of layers and get a lot of people to look at it, including the attorneys.
And that extra 11 feet triggers FAA, federal communications, and there's a lot more red tape behind it, but it was necessary for the equipment for the wireless company, but also we have our emergency services equipment on there as well. So only 11 feet, but a lot more work behind the scenes.
Any other discussion?
And all that extra work's being taken up by the wireless communication company or city staff?
The extra work is done by the wireless company, but our conversations is part of making sure that we have the equipment. You're putting me in an unknown area here. You put too much equipment, the wavelengths don't like each other, and so the way that you build that out with connectivity is really important. Dave Dahl and Bill King on his team have been instrumental in getting us to this part, but we continue to work. But again, most of the work on that end with the licensing is on the carrier.
Plus, you'll be taking down the current one.
We will be.
Yeah.
That would.
Yeah.
That's a next step thing, but I would imagine that we would do that.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Nitre?
Yes.
Branson? Yes. Bullheis?
Yes.
DeVray?
Yes.
Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Northrup?
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to the final motion for the evening, appointment boards commission. I'll ask for a motion.
Motion to approve the mayor's appointments to boards and commissions as listed.
They are Dave Bendert and Reese Altman for the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, term ending to be determined. I've spoken to both these planning commissioners. I've served with them for years, as you have too, Dave and Larry, on the planning commission. They're very involved, they're very educated, they're very knowledgeable, and they're very pragmatic. And as you probably can imagine, I have a high degree of trust in both these, as all the planning commissioners. But these two indicated they would like to serve in additional capacity for the city. We don't see this authority meeting very often, but when they do meet, it's like any others. You have to have the right kind of talent in place to make the right kind of decisions. Are there any questions on these two applicants?
I don't have a question on the applicants. I'm just curious who's supporting it.
I'll second the motion.
Do I need a roll call on this, clerk? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries. And will you get a hold of Reese and Dave? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Before we ask for the city manager's report, I'll just go down the dais. Tobin? Dave?
I just had a chance to visit a neighboring community today. It's this little burg called Granville, and there is a fantastic family-friendly entertainment facility there called Soar and Bounce. I would highly encourage families in Hudsonville to visit that establishment.
Is there a discount for
It's
government?
charged extra for Hudsonville residents, but it's still well worth it.
At a future meeting, I have some very amusing highlights of one of our commission members trying to appear athletic.
Name your price, Commissioner, and yes, please.
Jeremy?
Nothing, sir.
How's family? Good. Larry? Nothing. Anything from the finance? Jill, what do you got?
I do not have an election in May. The first one since I've been here.
City manager, anybody in the audience choose to address this one more time? Hearing nothing, I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to rapid fire these items, but there is a lot of good content here. Staff met earlier this week to discuss the Hudio's patio site plan. We were taking into account the proximity of Harvey Street to the establishment, safety, maintenance, plowing, details behind the scenes that most folks wouldn't pay much attention to, and rightfully so. But we're moving forward. We're in good shape, so it's looking like we'll have a new establishment here in Hudsonville sometime this spring. As mentioned previously, we're working with Wireless Edge with regards to the draft agreement with regards to the cell phone tower. We had a meeting with legal counsels from the city, as well as Wireless Edge, as well as representatives from each last week. We are closing the gap on some of the details. There is one item there that is going to need a little bit more work, but we'll be discussing this at your February 24th workshop. It's looking like I'm going to bring in the city attorney to discuss where we're at, and based on the discussion from that, I'll be offering my recommendation on how to move forward. Hopefully, I think we'll have everything sewn up at your March 10th meeting. Shout out to Mary Cook. For those of you that read the weekly report, there was a blurb in here as well. Right now, the city is part of a joint library services agreement with the City of Zeeland, Blendon Township, and the City of Hudsonville. So you have 3 local units of government in this agreement. Blendon Township does not have a library. Essentially, half the residents use the Howard Miller Library in Zeeland and our library, the Gary Biker Library here in Hudsonville. The cost for that was broken down on a equation of from the public school districts. We're going to be moving that agreement to based the way that the school districts are assembled. So that'll be a little deviation. However, the complexity of this comes into there was a millage that funded this. The millage expired. Blendon did not hold an election in which they had a ballot measure. Our agreement, putting the millage in the parking lot here, our agreement is set to expire on June 30th. So we're working with their legal counsel and Blendon to extend that agreement by 6 months until we figure out what the voters decide of a potential millage. But there's multiple scenarios to consider if the millage passes, if the millage doesn't pass, and how they fund that 6 months where they don't have it funded by a millage. So there's a lot of moving parts in this agreement. Legal counsel from the city and Blendon Township, as well as communication with Zeeland has been taking place. Still hammering out the details of this, but because 3 municipalities will have to approve it, we're not on short time yet, but we don't want to let it get that far. So I'm not sure if we'll have that ready at your March 10th meeting. I'm hoping, but if not, that will be an item for consideration at your April regular meeting. The library feasibility study should be available by the end of the month. If you recall in the budget workshop, what it is, it's an assessment of our current library to take the vision study that was done 3 years ago to implement various aspects of it at the current site. What would it take? What is possible? What is not possible? Going through this endeavor here is just to give the City Commission more information as we go down the Village Green process and discuss the potential of a future library and community center. Regardless of where it's at, an assessment of the current building, the facilities, the mechanical equipment in there, getting a report on that to help us make decisions moving forward. So I'm hoping to have that by the end of the month. And once again, want to give kudos to Sarah to the tune of 85% of the dribbling of the basketball with regards to the MD&R grant. We submitted 2 grants, we got one, but we got the bigger one. We got the most important one. However, there's a challenge here. The grant was recommended by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund Board. That recommendation now goes to essentially the state's fiscal offices to be included in the next budget. So we won't find out whether or not that was formally approved as part of the budget. It has been in long history and recent history, but we won't have final approval of the grant where the funds can be utilized until roughly October. That puts us in a time crunch with ARPA funding that the ODC received 5-6 years ago. Those funds must be expended by December 31st of 2026. Like most grants, we can't start a project using grant funding until that has been announced. And we can't build an entire facility in 3 months. So we met with members of the ODC, and it was decided they're going to reappropriate their ARPA funding with the idea that because of this grant, that gap in terms of what is needed is closed. So we'll be looking at external funding through local partnerships, various grants, and private donations. So this will delay that ability because we didn't want to sacrifice the grant funds that were part of the budget that we built out with ODC. Hudsonville Public Schools is now at the table too in terms of collaboration. They have taken a liking to this concept and this idea and use of nature-based learning. There's been one meeting with Hudsonville Public as well as the ODC. It was a great conversation, but no details past that. So we may have an opportunity to bring on another partner if it fits. I talked with leadership at the ODC via email this week, and it's looking like our staffs will get together. Sarah, this is your heads up. Staffs will be getting together in 2 to 3 weeks to not only talk about the draft memorandum of understanding of essentially a tentative agreement about what we want to do moving forward and what the operation will look like. Clearly that'll change, but that'll be good for any kind of campaign and fundraising associated with such. But we're going to talk about where, again, additional collaboration can be used as far as seeking the external funds that we need. I don't have a dollar amount right now. It will slow it down, but it's all things equal. We don't believe it's going to slow it down much. But again, to sacrifice those grant fundings, the money would have to come from somewhere. So it's just going to slow it down, but Travis is optimistic, leadership of the ODC. I'm still optimistic, but it'll give us a chance to slow down, not rush, make sure we're doing it right. Lindsay and I met last week. We're working on the final details for the budgeted community engagement plan proposal, taking an inventory of our current efforts and what do we want? What are the deliverables? It's looking like we're going to work with Sabo Consulting out of Grand Rapids, who comes highly recommended throughout my network. And whether it's social media, the newsletter, YouTube TV and the recording of these meetings, and what else we can do, it'll be part of that. But the communication element here is very important as we talk about the downtown changes that we're undergoing. On that note, we've also expanded the newsletter from 4 issues a year to 6 issues a year. This will allow more improved timeliness to communicate. Right now, with it coming out quarterly, there's certain things we would normally want to put on there that otherwise we can't put on there because it falls in that gap. In lieu of a local newspaper, this is a way that we can communicate with the residents. We've built out a yearly calendar. Plowing, when do we want that? We want that in November, okay? When do we talk about leaf pickup? So there'll be some standard things in there that we've seen, and then it'll give us an opportunity. What have we been missing out on? What hasn't been able to fit in? What is new? What's exciting? So really appreciate Lindsay and her efforts there, but again, that'll be roped in to the community engagement plan.
Is it in the budget?
It is in the budget, and it's looking like we're only going to expend about 50% of what was allocated. I had a meeting last week with Bob Miller as part of the Granville Sewer Advisory Board. We discussed capital improvement projects at the sewer plant, as well as potential rate impacts. This is refreshing because one thing the city has struggled with has been working with our partners on their asset management and their capital improvements. With shared intergovernmental agreements, if a capital expense in terms of tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, like at the Wyoming water plant, that needs to be paid for. So through the various agreements, it trickles down, what is our portion? If we can plan accordingly, then we can set our rates accordingly. Internally, with our revenues, our expenditures, our maintenance, repairs, we are one of the best municipalities in West Michigan. However, these large-scale impacts, when they come in at the 11th hour that we saw 2 years ago, it puts pressure on our rate calculations, and then we're doing things at the last minute. So I applaud Granville taking the step to put the same time and effort that city staff is with our systems. Depending on what that shakes out to, it's looking like that will impact our rates as previously planned as part of the sewer fund. I don't have details at this time, but the more information we know, the better, so we can plan and build out our rates, not 1 year, not 2 year, but 5 and 10 years in advance. Once again, thank you, Commissioner Branson, for the assistance you've been providing with regards to Terrace Square, audio, more audio than visual, no visual, little visual, but audio upgrades. It echoes in there in both rooms, so Commissioner Branson has really helped lead the charge here. We're going to be moving some speakers, installing some new equipment. We'll have a user interface that's easier for staff to use, and we're going to make that better. I worked with finance director. We found money in the budget for the most part. We did have a budget amendment, but this is just investing more in our asset where we can increase the usability. So Commissioner Branson's going to be meeting with a gentleman from Parkway on Friday, and after that we'll build out a timeline to make those upgrades. Received unfortunate news last week. As you're all aware, DPW Director Bob Miller submitted his resignation. Bob will be missed. He's been with the city for 8 years. I think everyone here for the most part has worked with Bob. It is a big loss for the city, but a heck of an opportunity for Bob, professionally speaking, one that he's earned and he's deserved. But with change comes opportunity. Behind the scenes over the course of the last couple weeks, I've been working on what do the next steps look like, revamping the job description. Looking at this job description as it relates to other departments, where there's crossover, where we can get more efficient, where we need certain specialization. So with change comes the time to be able to look at that. While Bob will be sorely missed, I'm very confident in the team down there and the leadership. I've had a couple meetings with Operations Manager John Grollo, and we'll have a lot of details rolling out here over the course of the next week to week and a half of where we're at. There will be engagement, representation from DPW. We're going to plan a work session to get their input. I'll work with the mayor on what the involvement of the commission looks like there. This is a very important hire for the city, and we're taking it seriously. Jacob hit on the Village Green. We're excited about the next steps on the memo. Mr. Mayor, I'll get with you on that, but I'll have a little bit more of a robust update at your February 24th workshop in terms of recommendations and next steps to bring on our owner's rep and our consultant if the City Commission chooses to go that direction. Shout out to Chief Essenberg and the fire department, Dave Dahl and the emergency services team. We talked about I-196. What great collaboration from our team with the county team. I received very positive feedback from Lou Hunt, the County Emergency Services Director, as well as Sheriff DeBoer, as well as Superintendent Doug Vanderjet as well. I'll tell you personally, and I know that this report's going on, but it was the first time, professionally speaking, that I know I have members of our team out in the field. Trudging upwards of a mile to get folks out of vehicles. We struggled to get ambulances there and equipment there. And I'm sitting in my home office coordinating, talking to Chief, talking to Dave, talking to JJ, working with the schools, making sure our team has what they need out there. But a very unique feeling of having your team members out in harm's way in the elements and sitting in a warm office just being on your phone, which is what my role was. Look at resources, what next, working with Public Works, be ready to call our guys in if we have to bring our equipment down there to assist in protecting and saving people. But just all around kudos. I'll be meeting with Dave on a debrief there. I've talked to Chief a little bit. There's some things that we're going to do differently. There's some things we want to communicate to Lou Hunt a little bit differently for next time. But when incidences
Next time.
You're always planning for a next time, Mr. Mayor. I'm hoping there's not a next time, but if there is, we'll even be more prepared. But just kudos to that team, the collaboration all around, and that's a testament to Ottawa County, the local units in Ottawa County. Just well done to everybody. I was very impressed. Check out the new mural. It's awesome. Once again, well done, and thank you. Large shout out to DPW. The unsung heroes of winter. It has been a very challenging January. We are a little understaffed right now. These guys are showing up, working nights and weekends, and really pushing it to their max.
And we still have salt.
We still have salt. There is a shortage, but we do have salt, but let's not use it anymore. The sun was out a little bit today. But just can't say enough positive things about this team, up and down. And we're going to be transitioning leadership right now, but just positive things. If you get an opportunity to go down there and give those guys, an attaboy and an attagirl for Kate. But just the unsung hero is a winner. Second to last, I want to give a shout out to our department heads and our staff. We are very busy tying up loose ends. My weekly report was about 30 to 40% of what's going on behind the scenes. The details matter. And if there's any indication why the details matter, what we're working on with the county with landings at Rush Creek could have been prevented. Some of it could have been prevented. But dotting the I's and crossing the T's and doing things right the first time sets up the next group of leaders. And that's one thing that we're doing right now to make sure that we're leaving our roles in the city better for the next batch of leaders. But from top down, every department, wow.
Are they still going to build a fence at Rush Creek?
I have no comment on that. I do not know. I am due to follow up with the county administrator. I'll give him credit. He's been reaching out, asking the right questions. I'm working a lot right now, too, on some other things. So I'm hoping to be having a formal sit-down with Patrick, hopefully sometime next week. He's doing his best to navigate this. I will be adamant, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. I do disagree with elements of the township's or the county's remedy for this situation.
As I think most of us do.
Yep.
And you need to communicate that appropriately. This is a project that was approved by the county, and that there's overaction to minor issues. The developer is all ahead full, and the buildings and the apartments are getting done, and they'll be ready for occupancy, I believe, in May, right? We're going to start to see them come available in May, so the clock ticks. It's got to get resolved.
We'll be good. We still have some time as related to this, and I won't go into a lot of detail here. One thing,
The work session.
Yeah, one thing I think it's important to keep in mind, though, this is new county leadership across the board. And so they're coming into a situation that, had they been in place previously, going back 2 years ago, this could have been prevented. But we'll navigate it. We'll get through. I know the county's working in good faith. My hope is that other local units of government in the area do the same. And then finally, City Commission workshop, February 24th at 6 p.m. Get your 8 hours of sleep the night before. It's going to be every bit of 2 hours. There is a lot to discuss. I'm going to do my best to shrink it down, but there's a lot of things that we just need a little bit details and City Commission input before we bring it to you guys or make certain decisions.
Will we get an agenda prior?
I will have an agenda out with some supporting materials, but you most certainly will have that agenda. What's going to be in the packet right now, I just can't speak to that.
But the sooner we get that, the better, because I think it allows for us to prepare.
Yep, I'll make a note of that. Cool. With that being said, there's always more, but I'm long-winded. But if there's any questions or comments, I can take those at this time. And thank you for your patience.
Any other comments from the commission? Hearing none, we are adjourned.